All right, here we go. Sarah here. Welcome back to another episode of Your Fucking Welcome. Today I wanted to tell you a story, and this feels like a classic Sarah Dan story. A lot of you have heard this one before, but it's one of my favorites to share because it's one of the most important in my opinion, and it was a moment that really changed a lot for me, and I really feel like the story and the lesson can potentially change a lot for you. And this story happened back in early 2018. So to paint the picture here, I was in a situation where in 2017, as many of you know, my business really took off. I was selling a lot of low-end things. We had our first $500,000 year. But again, like our average sale was about $217. And so much of what I was selling was, $97. Like $497 was really the most expensive thing I feel like I sold at that point. And so we enter into 2018, and I decide that I want to not only do a mastermind event in Charleston, but I also want to have this company that I was working with at the time, and I'm actually still working with. The company is a little bit different now, but Hellllo Big Idea, who has done my website and my branding, all of that kind of stuff, I had gone to them in Kansas City, and they had done my website and like a photo shoot all in person. I had this really cool experience with them, and I felt like, wow, like I really want to bring this experience to my people, right? To have them have the opportunity to, in just a couple days, get branding and website and web and photos done, all of that kind of stuff. And so I knew I wanted to do this event in Charleston, this mastermind event with those things added in there. And I decided to price it at, I think it was like $5,500. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it was back then. And it was basically for like a 3-day event. They would have been able to mastermind all day. And like I said, get all of the other things added in there. And so on one hand, I know $5,500 is not nothing, while at the same time, $5,500 for what I was including was fucking insane. Like it was absolutely insane for everything that they were going to get. Like it was so incredibly valuable. But I was in a place where that amount of money, even though I knew it was worth every single penny, that amount of money was still really terrifying me because I was in this position where, again, I was selling all of these low-end things. And so I was having a really hard time getting my energy and my belief wrapped around the idea that enough people would pay $5,500. Now, I know, and I feel like I did know to an extent then, that like it was not factually true just because I had people paying low-end prices that I didn't have anybody to pay a higher-end thing. Like that was never, ever the actual like factual truth, but it was still fear, right? It was all ego. It was all me telling myself the stories of like, nobody's going to pay you this. They're not used to spending this amount of money. They don't have it, so on and so forth. And so I announced the event, and I did a very half-assed job of marketing it because I was scared. I was terrified. Again, I didn't think that it was actually going to sell. So I would talk about it a little bit here, talk about it a little bit there, and nothing was happening. Nobody was buying. And, it was a situation for me where like I not only owed the contractors that I had hired, right? I owed them like $24,000 between the website work and the photo shoot, but I also owed the hotel that I had, selected. I had put like a deposit or whatever on. And so there was a lot of money going out for something that I didn't feel any kind of hints or any kind of breadcrumbs, right, leading me in the direction of feeling like this was actually going to sell. And so it felt really heavy and really scary for me for probably like 2 weeks. And then I went to an event in Malibu. I was still living in New Jersey at the time. I went to an event in Malibu as part of a mastermind that I had joined. And I'm sitting there in the room, and kind of I had set the intention for myself that like by the time I leave California, I need to figure this event situation out because I've got to get this shit sold. And so we go through the mastermind event, and then finally I just had this moment where I'm sitting around looking around the room, and this like light bulb, obvious moment happens where I'm like, oh my God, we're all here for this event, but nobody paid for the individual event. Everyone paid to be part of this 6-month mastermind where the event was included. Duh. And so I pivoted the offer. I wound up making it, which was still way too low for the record. I made it be either $7,500 paid in full or people could pay $1,500 a month. And I kind of assumed, as a side note, everybody would pay a monthly payment. So I thought I was going to have that extra, $1,500 per every person. But of course, everybody paid in full, which was not a bad thing, but it was just funny. I'm like, oh shit, you never know. And so my point is I went from being terrified to sell something for $5,500, spending weeks not really having it move, not having any interest, anything like that, to bumping it up to $7,500, an even higher price point, but giving them, I forget what it was exactly, maybe they got like one monthly call with me and they got group coaching calls, things like that, over the course of the 6 months. And I just wrapped the event into it. And when I did that, I literally sold it out within a few days. I still have the screenshot. I've shared it many times before, but I had I think it was like a $35,000 day. That first day after I changed the actual container of it, it like flew off the shelves, if you will. And I want to bring this up forever because I think that we are all in this really cool place, right? When it comes to online businesses, we're not selling, pizzas, right? Like we're not in the situation where we have this brick and mortar business where the things that we sell for the most part are just physical, right? Like some of us obviously have like physical products, but it's most of the people listening to me, we have online based businesses, which really means we sell things by creating them out of thin air, right? And so I know that each and every person listening to this has had a moment where you're like, oh my God, my shit's not going to sell. Or, like the example where I had to really pay those contractors. You might be in a situation, or you've been in a situation where time's ticking. You've got to get it moving. You've got to get this thing sold and you don't know what to do. You're in fear that it's not going to work. And this experience for me has been such a profound one in that I can always remember that something not working, there's always a tweak, a shift accessible to you that will actually make it work. Because again, if I'm talking about the fact that we make the money out of thin air, the fact that I could just sit there and boom, snap my fingers and decide, oh shit, I'm going to rearrange the container of this. And now it's 6 months and now it includes this mastermind event. And again, it flew off the shelves. That is such a cool thing. And I feel like it's such a basic and obvious thing to say. But I find so often that when all of you that I speak to, when you are in a place of fear, when you are in a place of ego, you kind of do this thing where it's like pass or fail. Okay, here's the thing that I put out there. It's not working the first few days. I'm terrified that it's not going to work. So then I'm going to jump into the next thing or romanticize what comes after this because we've decided that it's not going to work. Instead of the quote that I use all the time from Clueless, instead of going back to the kitchen and rearranging some things and having a completely different outcome. And so again, I wanted to share that with you today because if you are selling programs, offers, containers, experiences, events, however we want to say that, if you are selling things online and something's not working, or even more importantly than that, something's not feeling 100% aligned, there is an option that can make it 100% aligned. There's maybe you throwing in a in-person workshop, maybe you throwing in an extra call, maybe you taking away something because that's, just as important of an issue. A lot of people will sometimes underprice themselves and then they're not even excited to sell it because they already feel resentful that they're not making enough money. So sometimes taking something away actually feels like a breath of fresh air so that you feel that much better about the fact that I'm not only confident that this is going to sell, but I feel excited to sell this and actually do this thing because I feel like I'm being compensated appropriately for the time and energy that I'm putting in. So no matter what the scenario is, I just really, again, want you to embrace that. And this is a part of why I'm launching the Fuck Yes offer formula as its own program. I'm re-recording this. So many of you know, the Fuck Yes offer formula has always been a lesson inside of the 500K sales system. It's my favorite lesson. There's so much content in there, just in terms of how to structure your offers, different options. The list goes on and on and on in terms of what is in that lesson. I've decided, I said for a long time I was not going to sell that lesson on its own. And recently I just feel like I've changed my mind for a couple selfish reasons. I feel like it's something that could perform really well for me. But also I feel like for many of you, you need the gift of understanding how to master offer creation. And just like we're talking about in this episode, just as important is tweaking your offers, right? Understanding that you are always, like I said, one tweak, one adjustment away from something selling really beautifully. And so I'm re-recording everything in the Fuck Yes offer formula, kind of breaking it down into smaller lessons, going in a little bit more depth in some things, but we're covering everything. We're covering everything from the formula, what is the Fuck Yes offer formula, what that means to me, what an offer needs to include so that you sell it easily. We're talking about sales pages. We're talking about different types of containers. Like, I am giving you every freaking possible option that I can think of in terms of not only how you can structure offers, but how you can, rearrange them, variations on them, bonuses, adjustments. The list goes on and on and on. And so I'm really excited about this. I'm really proud of what it's going to be. Again, I'm largely basing it off of the work that I've already done. So I feel extra good being like, oh, it's great, in and of itself, but now it's going to be even better. And so I wanted to offer it. My gut price when I was thinking about it was $1,000. And I think it's worth, this is me not bullshitting you. Like, I think it's worth $1 million. I think it's worth so much freaking money because, again, if you know how to create offers, if you know how to make money out of thin air, if you know what to adjust when something's not working, that could bring you in just obscene amounts of money, right? Like limitless amounts of money. And so you understanding and knowing how to do this really well and really beautifully and really strategically and intentionally, it's such a game changer. But I wanted to offer it at a pre-sale price for the first 2 weeks. And so after next Friday, it will go up to $1,000, but right now it is $750. Paid in full. We also have 2 payment plan options. You can either do monthly payments of $400, or there's an extended payment plan where you can do 8 weekly payments of $100. And that option disappears this Friday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific, and lessons start dropping next week. But I really sincerely mean it when I say that I know that there are a million business coaches out there. I know that there are a million programs teaching you about offers. I know that. And I'm not saying that other people aren't good at it. That's not what I mean. But I really sincerely feel like if there's one thing I do really fucking well, it's offers. The messaging behind the offers, the strategy behind the offers, making sure that you are structuring them so that they're easy for people to say yes to. I really sincerely don't think that anybody does that better than I do. And so I just want you to know and feel that you are in good hands with this program. And I really sincerely believe that it can be a game changer for you if you take the leap, if you make the move. And again, it gives you the tools to A, never run out of things to sell, but B, to always be able to create cash. Because to me, the secret to mastering cash creation is really mastering the art of offer creation. Because if you can create an offer, you can make money all the time. If I had to turn around this week and, make $50,000 like in the next week, truly, sincerely, and honestly, like, does that feel like a big number to me? Yeah. But do I know that I can do it because of the way in which my brain works in terms of how I structure these offers, and because of how I know what my people want and need and what they will pay for, and how I could just give it to them on a silver platter, that the idea that I wouldn't get paid that amount of money is laughable? Absolutely, I could do that. Absolutely. And my intention for you is for you to be able to do that as well. And so, of course, as always, sarah-jan.com for all the details, and I will talk to you next week. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, I would really, really, really appreciate it if you took the time to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps the show a ton, and I would be super grateful.